Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are we feeling today? We should be, I haven't got a response, but that's fine because I'm sure we are feeling very good indeed. The sun is shining, it's hot outside, the food is great, what a wonderful hotel, and we are together, yes, together, 600 people together, ready and waiting for Startup Turkey 2016, okay? Again, just let me introduce myself. My name is Peter Hopwood. I am a communications consultant, but for the next 2 days or so, I will be with you as your host, taking you through these next couple of days of insights, startup, entrepreneurial insights, ideas, pitches, and lots of things for you to take home with. So by the time you leave Startup Turkey 2016, I'm sure you will go back with lots of ideas and food for thought to take back with you to your communities. Okay, just a few things before we go any further. This here is very important indeed. Bizabo. Who is on Bizabo? If you're not there yet, go pick up your phone, the app, Bizabo app. It's the event app for Startup Turkey 2016. Here you'll be able to connect, see everybody that's here, and again, make the contacts that you personally need to move forward with whatever you have going with you. Also, hashtag Startup Turkey, hashtag Startup Turkey. Who is on Twitter here? Put your hands up if you are on Twitter. 2 people, fantastic. Okay, those 2 people plus everybody else. Hey, why don't you start up an account? Go on hashtag Startup Turkey and share your views, opinions, your photograph, your selfies, everything else to really get this show trending worldwide. So remember, hashtag Startup Turkey to hear exactly what you think. It's really important. Again, many years ago, 8 years ago, Startup Turkey began with roughly about 50 people or so. 8 years later, here we are, 600 people, beautiful resort of Antalya, ready for some more ideas and insights that everybody needs. Okay, I think it's about time to introduce to you a man. I'm sure you already know his name. You've seen him many times before. You probably all know him as well. However, his name literally is Mr. Burak Demir. Put your hands together for the man that put it all together. Once again, Burak Demir.
So welcome to Antalya, and this is the 8th time that we are organizing Startup Istanbul, Startup Turkey. We are very excited as the first time, and also thank you for Peter to announce me a great announcement. Welcome to Antalya. I will be very happy to be here with all of you 3 days. And also thank you for all sponsors, because I'm very honored to get sponsors from and supports from these companies. It is very important for us. And also thank you for all speakers and startups, and hope to see you in the hotel in the next 2 days with a great sunny Antalya. Thank you. Welcome again to Startup Turkey Conference. So, Peter, it's finished.
Okay, one other thing, very important indeed. Now, we are here together, 600 of us together in this room. However, there are a few more people that are actually going to join us here as well. Did you know we're actually streaming live worldwide? Worldwide streaming live. So that literally means if you have a friend or colleague or a family member on the other side of the world, or somebody that you really want to show the startup ecosystem of Turkey to, now is your chance. A couple of taps, startupturkey.com, go online, live streaming, and they can see exactly what you're seeing right now in this room. So live streaming worldwide, and let's get this event. Let's make it as big as we can across the world. Okay, I think we're ready for our first speaker. Are we ready? You don't sound ready, but you will. I'm sure you are ready inside. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for a man that is actually described as the Gandalf of the Turkish ecosystem. It's true. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Erhan Erkut.
I did not like the applause Burak received, okay? We can do better than that. Come on. Burak, come back on the stage. This is the man who's responsible for all of us being here. Let's be nicer and kinder to him. Burak! This is our traditional pose, startup pose, okay? About a month ago, I sent a message to Burak. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not ready. I couldn't finish the book. I won't have anything new to say at Startup Antalya, Startup Turkey. He says, that's okay, just be our guest. Come and listen to the other speakers. I said, great, the first time ever, I can just sit and listen. Okay, the day before, he calls me up and says, why don't you do the opening speech? I said, Burak, I have nothing new. He said, you'll figure something out. I said, look, I'm reading a book on history. I can talk about that if you like. He said, whatever you talk about, people will listen, Hocam. Let's do it. Okay. How many of you have read this book, Sapiens? Only 2, 3, wow, 4. So this is inspired. I'm going to be butchering this book, inspired by book Sapiens by Harari, a short history of mankind. I'm going to take you back 2.5 million years. This is the evolution of the genus Homo in the world. Actually, the last known common ancestor of apes and human is 6 million years old, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to call it 2.5 million years. 300,000 years ago, we started using fire on a regular basis. 70,000 years ago, cognitive revolution. Instead of just saying, ooh, ooh, we started saying, aha, oh, yeah. Emergence of language. Then about 70,000 years ago, something strange happened. Sorry, 10,000 years ago, something strange happened. And we started sort of living together and growing wheat, domesticating wheat. It actually happened right here in Turkey. Did you know that? Göbekli Tepe, 9,500 years ago, before Christ. Sorry, 9,500 years ago, before now. And then 5,000 years ago, the first kingdoms, script, money, religion. And then scientific revolution, 500 years ago, and the Industrial Revolution followed it about 200 years ago. Now, when you see this, it doesn't quite click, okay? 2.5 million and 10,000. 2.5 million and 10,000. I'm a fan of visual display of quantitative information, so I prepared this for you. Every little box on this chart corresponds to 1,000 years, okay? Every one of them, 1,000, so that's 57,000 years. The itsy-bitsy part you see at the bottom is the time that has passed since the agricultural revolution. What about the scientific revolution? It's about here, half of this last box, and industrial revolution, little sliver down here, and startup Turkey, if you look really closely, is right around here. Now, why am I belaboring this point? Because it's important to know that there's a huge difference between the way people lived for most of the history and for this tiny sliver of the part that we find ourselves in now. Up until 10,000 years ago, we were hunter-gatherers, foragers. We lived in small bands and we kept wandering around, following the food. We designed our own caves, our own huts. We built our own tools. We gathered our own food and we shared the food in small tribes. And the only frigging KPI we worried about was the number of kills, number of nuts and fruits we collected. Okay? Then some of us noticed that this thing that was growing out of the soil was actually edible if you could grind it. And then we realized if you put it a little bit deeper into the soil, it has a higher probability of growing. And we noticed if you put some water on it, it actually gives you higher yield. And then we had to deal with the little bugs that infested it. So we decided to sort of farm it on a massive scale, which meant we had to live in villages. We call it domestication of wheat. Hey, the word domus comes from home. Who lives in the home? The wheat? No, we live in the homes. So in fact, the wheat domesticated us. We became servants to the wheat. We gave it water, we made sure that it survived, and then it gave us some food. Oh, we had more food, so we made more babies. More babies helped us make more food, which in turn allowed us to make more babies. But we realized some years the yield wasn't good enough. So we noticed we had to maybe store this stuff. You could store this stuff, okay? So in order to store it, we had to build structures. And then some people thought, oh, why should I do this? I just go steal it from this other person. So to make sure they wouldn't steal your wheat, you started building walls. And then you had to develop an army. And then some individuals thought, why don't I have this protection idea, and I offer people protection in return for some of their money. It's a basic mafia concept, okay? Those people became the lords, the barons, the kings, the sultans, the emperors. Today we call them state. They still charge us protection money. We call it tax, okay? So the agricultural revolution is actually the instance that created this massive change in the way we live. Now, I want you to go back and think about the scale again. I said 2.5 million years and 10,000 years. If 2.5 million years were 1 year, then the 10,000 years would correspond to the last day and a half. So for 363.5 days, you practice playing soccer, and the last 1.5 days, they tell you, you have to go swim now. If the 2.5 million years were 24 hours, the last 10,000 years would correspond to 4 minutes. So it's 23:56 now, only 4 minutes to midnight. And if it were a soccer match, it would be the last 4 seconds. Today, when you're watching the soccer match between Fenerbahce and Lokomotiv Moscow, during the last 4 seconds, I want you to remember that this is actually the era in which we live in, agricultural revolution. Why am I belaboring this? What's that got to do with entrepreneurship? Guys, for 2.5 million years, we were foragers. We evolved as foragers. Our DNA changed to make us better hunters, better gatherers, better stone tool makers. And then all of a sudden we started living in large communities, got into mass production, specialization, segmentation. But there's not enough time to evolve. You can't evolve in 10,000 years. It takes at least 100,000 years to evolve. So you're basically imposing an unnatural life system on a whole bunch of people that are not accustomed to it. So what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to create some constructs that are artificial, like the state, like money, because you're going to do trade, you need to have a means of exchange, like religion, like laws, like human rights. All are figments of humans' imaginations in order to support this new society which decided to sort of all of a sudden live together in a very unnatural way. Guys, we're not fit for this way of life. We're not built for this. Going back to my picture, what we have here is agricultural, industrial, and corporate slaves. We started working the farms, then we started becoming slaves in somebody else's farm. We picked cotton. Then they built this shiny factory to make widgets. We said, oh, my grandson is going to have a better life. I'm going to send him to the factory to be a worker, slave. Then his grandson went to work for this corporation which made toothpaste or deodorant or shampoo, thinking that this is again an improvement in the welfare. Slave. Slave, 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 slave. Automatons, autonomous individuals. Slaves, free human beings. Pieces on a chessboard, chess players. We're meant to be chess players, not pieces on a chessboard. I call this individual, autonomous individuals, free will, and I call them chess players, but there's another name for these people. We call them entrepreneurs. Okay? Is it hard to be an entrepreneur, they ask me. Ridiculous question. It's in you. You are entrepreneurs. The culture tried its best to turn you into agricultural, corporate, industrial slaves. But it's actually in your DNA. So, be yourselves and just have fun. Thank you.